do human rights mean to you and your children? Let me start with a story. A couple are at the hospital awaiting the birth of their baby. This is an exciting time for any couple, and often the first question asked, is it a boy or a girl? This is an important question for grandparents and relatives. Do they buy pink or blue, trucks or dolls? But what if at the birth, the doctor had a long silence and then said, I'm not sure if that is a boy or a girl? That would come as a great shock to many parents. How could the doctor not know something so simple? Everyone knows they're just boys and girls, right? Actually, this child is intersex. An intersex child is where the anatomy, chromosomes, or hormones are not clearly identifiable as either male or female. There are over 30 variations of intersex. For example, hyperspadias, hormone-caused anatomy variation. This occurs in 1 in 250 children. Genetic variations such as Klinefelter, that occurs in 1 in 1,000. Androgen insensitivity syndrome, that occurs in 1 in 13,000. This is not the same as transgender, whose gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth. Intersex people may have an expression as male or female, or somewhere in between. There are at least 1.7% of the population who are intersex. That is as many people as red-haired in the world. So, for example, if there are 4.5 million people in New Zealand, there should be at least 76,000 intersex people in New Zealand. However, my experience differs greatly from that. In my whole life, I have only met 4 intersex people. Where are they all? Where have they all disappeared? The answer is simple, but horrific. First, they are assigned a sex. Then, sex normalizing surgery is performed to match their anatomy with their assigned sex. Remember, it is easier to make a girl than a boy. It's easier to make a hole than a pole. The children have no choice in this. Doctors are playing God in the assigning of sex. Intersex people also suffer physically, psychologically, and sexually, often for the rest of their lives. They also face shame, stigma, and public hostility and discrimination. For my parents, they could only assume they were told the truth. They had no way of knowing. Remember, back then, there was no internet. So why the surgery? It is to maintain the fiction of 2 sexes, male and female. Even as late as 2012 in New Zealand, doctors told parents that they had to finish off what nature had failed to do. This comes as a great shock to parents, to feel that their child is deformed, and the children feel this shame. Sometimes there are associated health conditions and needs, but sex normalizing surgery is not required until the child decides whether to later in life. Unfortunately, parents are seldom told this. From a young age, I always knew I was different. I had a sense of both maleness and femaleness that I could not explain. I tried to live my first 40 years but nothing made sense. Then I returned to university, began to do some research. Wow, my life began to change. I finally understood who I was. I was intersex. The challenges before me were about to start. It was like being reborn, but as an adult, in a world that did not understand. Intersex people have existed forever. Indigenous societies have recognized sex diversity, including what we call transgender and intersex today. Even the Greeks have noted intersex. Unfortunately, for some of these babies, they were put onto baskets to float out to sea and die. The Roman and Greek traditions have heavily influenced our notion of sex. As such, intersex people have been killed, ostracized, and in these modern times, medically modified to make them invisible. From kindergarten through university, we're taught there's male and there's female. Anything else is abnormal or a mistake of nature. This fiction of male and female is so strong, it's come to feel as natural. Even statistics fail to count us, as they only count male and female. So let's return to human rights. What are international human rights? International human rights are for the free and full development of the dignified human person. All of the rights and freedoms are for this one purpose. A violation of human rights is the loss of that freedom to develop as a dignified human being. The state is responsible to rectify any violation of human rights. Sex normalizing surgery is severe. The United Nations, the World Health Organization, they have called this torture. And yet, in many countries, including New Zealand, this still continues. And many parents are unaware. This is a violation of intersex people's rights. They should not be forced into surgery they do not need nor want. They should not be forced to be someone who they're not. They have lost the freedom to develop freely a sex identity as who they are. This denies them dignity. There is hope on the horizon, though. Malta was the first country in the world to ban such surgery until the child could decide for themselves later in life. Portugal has now also introduced such legislation, and is now before the California State Senate as well. Sex is a diverse continuum from male to female, with no clear line between them. Any distinction is pure arbitrary and not natural. It is time we left this fiction of two sexes to allow freedom for us all. Intersex variations are normal. They demonstrate the diversity of sex. These variations should not be made invisible, but they should be celebrated. No matter our expression, male, female, or non-binary, somewhere in between, we should be recognized as intersex people. It is time we end the shame and discrimination that intersex people face. Then we can have positive lives and we can contribute back to society. I am here. I am intersex. We are among you. We need your support.